Hola YouTube, it is I, Darth Cobain 17, and yeah, I got it's been really busy. So it's been a while since I've posted about some stuff I've been working on, but I did get some stuff done recently, and let's get right into it. So the first thing I completed was this game, which I got for, as you can see, $2 down at GameCycle. It is NHL FaceOff 2003, which is a hockey franchise that was put out by Sony in the mid to late 90s up until I think this was the last game, the '03 game, for the PS1 and the PS2. It transferred over. So it's like a hockey simulator, just like EA Sports' version is, but obviously it's not as good as EA Sports hockey games are the king of the hockey simulators. There's not even a question about it. And that's not saying there's not a lot of other good hockey games out there. I really like the NHL Hits series in terms of a more crazy, unrealistic brand of hockey, but so much fun. And then, of course, there's the 2K series, and then there's this as well, and there's some other one-offs and stuff too. But what I really liked about this one is that it was really fast, and although it was more of a simulator, it had a really arcade feel to it. Fast, fun to play. A feature I really liked is that you can not only hit your opposition, but you can also lay out your own players and the refs too. So it's kind of like a free-for-all. And the graphics weren't nearly as good as some other games. They were kind of rudimentary. Not bad, but also they could have used a lot of polish, right? But that graphics don't make a game. That's what I've learned. It's more about the gameplay and the fun it brings. Those are the important things. And this game has both, so it was really fun. It's got the normal types of modes: season, playoff, shootout, I think, career or franchise, whatever that is. So it's, the basic standard hockey game for around that time, and definitely worth a play. This series as a whole, and this version in particular, especially when you get it for $2. The next thing I did was another game for the Wii U, Skylanders Giants. Me and James just finished playing that last week, I think, and this is the second game in the Skylanders franchise, which came after the original entry, which was Spyro's Adventure, I think. In this one, Chaos kind of finds himself waking up on a shelf in a toy store or something like that, and he kind of gets this scheme of going back and grabbing this iron gauntlet, which was a powerful weapon wielded by the Archeans, who tens of thousands of years ago, when the first batch of Skylanders came along, these were the bad guys that were always trying to ruin Skylands, the Archeans, which was like this massive robot army. So this fist, this gauntlet, was one of their weapons for trying to take over Skylands. So Chaos gets it in his head that he wants to go and find this and wake up the Archean army and control them and take over Skylands. So then the Skylanders have to wake up the Skylanders Giants, who were the first breed of Skylanders that fought the Archeans tens of thousands of years ago. So yeah, the starter pack we got with this game came with 3 characters, but then we could use all the ones that came afterwards, and or not all of them, but I think the ones from Swap Force we could use, but not Trap Team, as well as Spyro's Adventure, the original ones. So we had a number of figures that we could use, not just the 3 giants that came with this game, to kind of unfold on this adventure and level up. And it's always nice to have a lot of figures available, because when you die, you're not done. You could just throw on a new Skylander and keep at it, sort of thing. So yeah, so we pumped through that game over a couple of months, and it was a really fun game. What I like about Skylanders is its consistency. It's not a groundbreaking franchise in terms of story or anything like that, or super good graphics or anything like that. It is groundbreaking in the fact that I think it was the first franchise that brought in the whole put your toy on the portal and bring them to life in the game sort of thing. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was Infinity, and I know it wasn't Lego dimensions. I'm pretty sure they were the first, and so they were very groundbreaking in that way, and they've built this really successful game franchise around that. Um, but like I said, there's the graphics are good, but they're not great. The story's good, but not, anything, fantastic or anything. But it's everything in the game is good. Everything is consistent. It's easy to play. It's fun to play. It's just a really fun adventure, and having collecting all the toys and stuff just brings a whole new dimension to it. So yeah, so that I think is we've played Spyro's Adventure, Giants, and Swap Force. So we just have Trap Team left, which we've got, and then after that the latest one, which is the Imaginators, I think, which we don't have yet. So. But eventually we will. So, but that is that. And then the last thing was Skulduggery Pleasant, the 9th book in that series, called The Dying of the Light. This was originally the last book in the series until Derek Landy, the author, kind of revived it with a 10th book, which I have, but I think it follows along this adventure, obviously, but I think it kind of restarts things. But anyways, as that book starts up, the war against Darkess and the bad sorcerers in Roarhaven is over. It's been over for a little while, and everybody's picking up the pieces of the battle. Darkess has kind of left, and she's just playing with her powers and trying to discover new kinds of magic. And helping her out is Tanith Lowe, who is still possessed by a remnant. And then Billy Ray Sanguine, the Texas guy who can burrow through the ground, who is in love with Tanith. So although he doesn't really agree with Darkess and her methods, he doesn't want to leave Tanith. So they're off doing their thing. She's trying to recover and learn new things. In the meantime, Skulduggery has taken on Valkyrie's reflection, Stephanie, who has kind of become her own person, as his new partner, and they're trying to track down all of the sorcerers who had their powers boosted by the accelerator during the Battle of Roarhaven, because they're out there causing trouble with all this power, and they need to bring them in and keep them in captivity until their powers wear off and they can just be released. Eventually, though, China Soros, the new Grand Mage, turns Skulduggery and Stephanie on to locating Darkess and finally dealing with her once and for all, whatever that may be, whether they have to find a way to destroy her or whether they can separate her from Valkyrie's body and bring Valkyrie back and destroy just the Darkess essence within her. Either way, though, they have to deal with it. So they think they find a way to do it. It looks like it works, but really instead of pulling Darkess's personality out of Valkyrie's body and capturing it, Darkess tricks them, and they actually pull Valkyrie's personality out of the body and have it trapped. And Darkess is kind of now an undercover agent because she's actually in Valkyrie's body, posing as Valkyrie, but it's still Darkess. So she's kind of this inside person, and kind of she starts wreaking havoc from the inside, kills Stephanie. And then they have to find a way to deal with Darkess all over again. Eventually, they get Valkyrie back, and Darkess becomes an untethered entity, otherwise a ghost, and they think that she's just going to fizzle off and fade out. But Darkess will not be kept down, so she finds a new host body, bringing Stephanie back to life. And then in the end, yeah, it's just they need to find a way to destroy Darkess. Along the way, lots of bad things happen. People die. Stuff gets destroyed. Valkyrie has to do some very questionable things to win the war. And they do eventually deal with Darkess, but it is not in the way I pictured it happening. It was very cool. I really like the ending. It leaves things open while also kind of sealing things off. It's really neat. And yeah, and it was just a really good conclusion to that story. The whole overarching story. It was I really found for a children's or young adult book series or whatever it's classified as, it's a really complicated story full of wonder and magic, but also full of a lot of violence. Like people just get exploded and burnt and turned inside out. Like it's just, and people die all over the place in this series. And you know what? I really like that. It's not that I'm sick or anything, but it's just it just brings an element of accountability to a story. You know, some of these stories, everybody's okay in the end. You know, like, oh, the bad guys were defeated and all the good guys are alive, and the good guys that did die were brought back to life. You know, this one is dirty. It's gritty. There's accountability. There's consequences to actions and decisions, and just a really cool cast of characters as well. So I really recommend it for anybody. Really, it's not just for kids. It's just a really good series overall, and a long one too. 9 books, and the books aren't small either. So yeah, so a really good series, and I can't wait to see what the 10th book brings. How he kind of restarts the whole thing, and what direction kind of the new stories take. So that will be coming soon, I'm sure. But for now, that's it, and I will be back as soon as I can.